All right, let's try this 5 by 5 inch piece of wood grain paper. It's not wood grain cardstock, it's just some cheap placemat paper. And I'm going to try something on here that I think I've done before, but usually in my handling of this type of paper right here, I usually don't do a whole lot to it in terms of coloring, just because it is so cheap. And we already have the patterning on here. So it's kind of dynamic as is, so I usually just do some minimal applications of, I don't know, maybe some shadows and highlights or something like that. But I want to test it out with this flower field, and I want to see how if this paper can handle a decent amount of, I don't know, what color changes over the surface. And I'm going to mix this one up. I'm going to make this one kind of a little bit more, yeah, instead of a windmill going up on there, I'm going to do like a barn. And let's see here too. I'm going to bring this up from the base a little bit. I wanted to test some things out here. So I'm going to wipe off the bottom a little bit. You don't have to remove all the ink, but a little bit, and I'll show you what I'm going to do as far as that goes. I'm going to put some grass textures in there, so I wanted to see if I can just do it like this and avoid using, stamping the grass at it and then having to mask it off. Hello, Megan! Megan missed those other ones. I'll do another one here. I was just going to pre-record this one and speed it up. I've been posting too many videos, but I've been having fun here, and I just want to explore. So I usually think of things to do, and it's like I'll forget about kind of what came to mind before, which is fine because I have other things to do, but it's like, okay, if something comes to mind, it's like, I better do it because I'm going to forget about it. Because I have so many other ideas I want to try out here. Okay, so this grassy cluster right here. Let's go. See, I kind of wiped that area out so I can just add this right into there. And then I didn't have to stamp this one out first, mask it, and then stamp that one over it. This is a really long stamp in here, so I just thought it'd be easier just to wipe that off. And let's see if this stamp works the way that I wanted it to, like that, okay? So that's one side of it, like that, and then you come and you use the other side for this side right here. So it has this little sloping area like that. And you just come into it like that. And so you don't have to, we've avoided a step in terms of we don't have to avoid steps, but if it's like a tedious, I don't know, kind of a little bit of tedium to mask something off, then why not remove it from the process? That's what I say. All right, now I like the look of this grass in here, which is kind of an open design, and then I used it in conjunction with the reeds. I saw it as being kind of separate from the reeds, as just a different option in terms of being able to color it in, but I really like it with it. So we have these kind of a little bit of a stronger, taller, solid grass right here, and then we have this smaller, open one, so we can add in different shades of color in here. Maybe not on this wood grain paper, but if it's on white paper like this, I just added in just different shades of green in there. Where you can't really do that if you do it with the solid reeds. So, I don't know, it worked out. They work out pretty good in combination with, okay? Now, if this isn't going up right to the edge of the bottom part of this right here, do the same thing, but then bring in your tiny rock small like this, and that made a really great area right in here that you can do. I should have colored in some of this rock with some brown and stamped out some brown textures into here as well as the black, but I don't know. That card was done, so I just didn't bother. I didn't spray seal this one. I didn't feel like I needed to. It'll make things a little bit brighter, but I don't know. We have other things to explore. So you can add that down there and add in, whatever you want, that road in here, that access point for the rows, like farms have. So in the fields. Hello, Bonnie. Got one live. Been waiting on Great Grand all day. Still not here. Oh, got it. Hello, military mom. How are you? Yeah, we got that. Thank you so much, Bonnie, for the order. Thanks, everyone, for the support of the line. I try to get things out as fast as I can. Now, if someone ordered, like, whatever it was, 2 weeks ago when I just announced, or I don't know, a week and a half when I just announced the new stamps, those ones just went out, so those ones weren't fast. But I was waiting for the new plates and things to arrive, though, for that pre-sale. But when things are ready to go, I always treat orders like they're my own. And, we're just used to, fast shipping these days, so I try to get it out fast. I've always tried to get it out fast, though. Okay, so this is this barn, and here, let me see what that... Okay, so see this how it's kind of aiming, it's looking kind of this way. So I'm going to stamp it on this side of the field. I like my things looking into the scenes as opposed to having it out here and looking at it that way. Like if a horse was like looking that way, I would typically put it over here and vice versa. Okay. You want to have the viewer's attention kind of contained in the thing, unless you're doing like a book or something like that, where they're supposed to be flipping the pages and, you want them compelled to go to the next page. All right, let's see here. All right, so this right here, I'm going to try to, roughly get it matched up. I need to clean off my tack and peel there. It's no longer tacky. Oh, this one's really tacky. All right, now I have ink all over my fingers. By the way, I'm using a hybrid ink right here, but if you're using these pre-printed papers, just do a test print of, a lot of us have, I don't know, 2 or 3 different types of black ink pads, test them out and see which ones give you the best results on this type of paper. I never get a really super dark impression on there, but I get darker using certain types of inks. I like them a little bit thicker than the dye-based inks, the water-based dye-based inks. But I think, it pretty much takes just, a lot of different inks. I think you can use your VersaFine Clair, your StazOn, the hybrid ink like this. A lot of people don't have hybrid inks, though. Hybrid is a combination of an oil-based pigment and a water-based dye. I don't know how they do that. You'd think those would be completely incompatible, but I don't know. It's a thing. All right, so we have our barn right up there. Okay. I'm going to stamp it a little bit low, but oh well. I'm trying to think if I want some hills in the background. If I don't do I can do the hills a little bit lower, I guess. I wanted to put like a quote stamp in here, I thought. I really like the quote stamps for some reason with these pre-printed papers, the antique ones, and the vintage papers that I use. Maybe it's because I go a little bit more minimal with the coloring or something like that, that, I don't know, it's more, I don't know, content, I guess. All right, let's go with these hills here. This will be really reminiscent of the town that I grew up. The title of this video, Lompoc. What do I call it? Lompoc Memories or something? I don't know. And that's the long O, by the way. People don't like Lompoc, but that's how everyone pronounces it. That's not from there. Okay, now I've wiped off the bottom of this a little bit so that it transitions a little bit lighter down below. I didn't want it too heavy going into there. See, there's like a little bit of like morning mist in there or something of that sort. And then let's go with another hill right back up in here. That would be, for those of you from Lompoc, that's Mount Tranquillium. No, Mount Tranquillium would be a little bit higher. I should do that though. I don't know if I have room on this for Mount Tranquillium, which is out on the Air Force Base out there. They call it Space Force Base now though. All right, so wiping off the bottom a little bit. I'm not taking off all the ink because you can see some of that ink down there. I'm just kind of wiping off, you know, a good portion of it for that transition zone. And again, you know, when you wipe it off like that, see like that right there? I didn't have to mask that off at all. And this part is, let me make sure that's wiped off. See where it's going over the top of that? You know, no need to really mask that off if you take off enough ink, and then it just transitions like that. So see that? Kind of just doing selective impressions can remove some of the need for certain types of techniques to be done, like masking, okay? So you overlap your images or you just wipe off some of them so they just kind of merge very gently or transition into the next image. And it just, in scenic stamping, it just looks like mist or like clouds or something like that. So, you know, you gotta mask some things off once, you know, some things, and I do that, but it's just a, you know, a little bit of just a paper towel like that usually. All right, let's see some of these designs here. I have some trees. I want to put, this is a little bit of a harsh edge right there, and you can put any kind of foliage in there. I'm going to put these, I have these small trees now, and I mean, they could be any kind of tree. Where I'm from, it's a lot of oak trees. So let's see. Where did my pad go? Here we go. I don't know what this is going to look like. It might not work with the color in here, but I'll try to add some color and I'll see what it can take. You can't color too much on here usually. I don't know, it kind of stands out quite a bit. But then again, I haven't been doing like a flower field that's really super definitive, you know, in terms of like bright colors. You know, I've done other things where I thought, I don't know if that looks good. So, I mean, that's been good though, because sometimes it's like, okay, doing a little bit less on the wood grain paper that, you know, makes for a quicker card that way. If it looks better with doing less, you know what I mean? But it still looks good because you get all that wood patterning in there. So, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I can't do like thick layers of like layered dye-based inks on it because this paper is just, it's just way too thin for it, you know what I mean? See, I mean, even like these images right here are like completely soaking through the paper. You know, this is disposable placemats paper. You know, it comes in 11 by 17, so that's why it's really cheap, you know, because it's, you know, it's just, you know, you're meant to, you know, eat it with like hot dogs. And then throw it away. You know, it's meant for like ketchup and mustard and, you know, stuff like that on there. Oil, you know, oily fingers, and then you toss it out when done. All right, so anyways, that's our little composition right there. I like the look of that composition there. I think that's pretty fun. Hello, Cynthia, Holly, how are you? Let's see here. Your order is going to be there on Saturday. I'll try not to go missing in action. Yeah, hang around there and get that and try to start stamping with it like immediately, Megan. Hello, Delia. Glad you like the artwork. If there's anything that you ever want to know, drop me a note. I can direct you to one of the, whatever, the 2000 videos out there. Hello, Chris. How are you? How's the How's the watercolor sketching going? Like I said, I've asked you that before. I don't know if you're still doing that, or I'm not on Flickr as often anymore. But well, as I've mentioned, I think probably a few times. I always loved seeing those out in the field sketches. Check out Chris's Flickr account. Okay, let's see. All right, so let's try some of these colors on here. There's some notion in my head here, approaching this right here, that this may not work, but it's not a reason to not try, though, right? All right, so this isn't the ideal colored pencil paper, right? Because it's not, there's no tooth to it. It's not quality paper at all. It's super thin. It's like, I think it's thinner than, I don't know. It might be, it's about the same thickness, I guess, of copy paper, okay? But it also has this ink printed on the top of it to make it look like it's wood grained, okay? So I'm saying that because now I'm going to start applying some of these colored pencils on here. You know, colored pencils are really waxy, so if you get too much of a buildup, the surface really isn't going to take more layers of that media over the top of it, your more colored pencils, because you're just going to be like trying to scribble like wax into wax. Okay, so that being said, what I'm getting to, long-winded here, is what you do is you just apply a really light version of your colors. I think that's the best way to work, unless you just absolutely know where you want to go really vibrant with, okay? You know, your experience with colored pencils, which I'm not. So keep in mind the buildup. So on like these hills here, I think I want to go with, you know, some darker tones. This one's a real kind of, you know, yellowy. It's apple green right here. Okay, so I want to go with like some more muted, darker tones too. So maybe about 3 different shades, values of green on here. So I'm doing this accordingly. Now, if I decide, you know, if I go with those other colors and it's like, oh, I should have used more of that warm green, lighter tone, then, you know, I can go over the top of the, you know, the darker ones with that. And, you know, that should work out fine. Okay, let's see here. I got mad at myself today. I dropped my pastel pencils. Oh no. Yeah, you broke four of them into several pieces. Oh, they're woodless. Oh. See, Bonnie, my art teachers in the past would have thought that was probably a good thing, because then you have to kind of make do with the shapes and, you know, the shards and everything like that. It might be kind of a little bit more of a, you know what I mean? You won't think about it as much or something like that, you know. You know, the medium, you know what I mean? I was telling someone said that they're, you know, that they like Stampscapes because they can overlap them because they're partially sighted. And that was exactly what I always think back to my life drawing teacher. I think it was advanced life drawing, but he asked some student, I don't know, he was walking around the class and he was next to me, but I don't know, he was looking at someone's work, and I didn't look over to see what he's talking about, but I heard them talking, and he said, well, what's your eyesight? And the guy said, I don't know, like 20/20. He said, oh, that's too bad. He says, yeah, because you know, you get focused into like maybe like the small things as opposed to kind of the larger kind of spirit of a piece, the gesture and everything like that. And that was the, you know, the most important thing he felt, you know, than getting too caught up in like detailed areas. In live drawing, at least, you want to get that like a, you know, gesture of a, you know, a figure down really well. Okay, so let's go with some different tone rose here. I'm liking the coloring so far. I just, you know, I'm gonna see if I, you know, you take my own advice and just kind of develop it nice and slowly so that I can see what's going on at any given time. And I just don't, go way too overboard on it. I can always do it again. It's not like precious, but, you know, I hear you people though, and it's like, some people say, well, I don't know if I want to add anything else or should I just stay there? And on one hand, another one of my teachers, I don't know, their advice always came back to me in my head, but one of my teachers always said, it's not precious, That was painting class. So I always hear that in my head. But as students, I get it, it's like, we're working on something. We don't want to redo it, we want everything to come out like, portfolio quality. So it's a little bit of an oscillation of both kind of whatever thought processes going through my head. But I do try to lean towards the instructor's advice. Okay, so there's pink in here. The pink going over the black is making that black in there a little bit, lighter on this paper. When I'm doing it on the gloss, semi-gloss cardstock, I find that going over something with a light tone like this doesn't affect it very well. But I think that this paper is just so absorbent, a lot of my ink went into the surface. So when I am going over it with this colored pencil, it is influencing the contrast and darkness of the, that flower field impression in there. So I'll be a little bit careful about that. Let's see. Does anyone in here do pastel pencil repair by chance for Bonnie? 45 degrees and windy here in Wyoming. I've only been to Wyoming once, and that was Cheyenne when I was teaching workshops. I started around the Denver area, then I taught in Fort Collins, then made my way up to a store that was in Cheyenne. I always wanted to go see other parts of the state, though, but just didn't get around to it. Have you seen all of the different, like major landmarks and everything like that in the state? I was watching this series called, what is that series? Josh, is it Rogan? That's set in Wyoming. I don't think they film it there though, but they digitally put the what's that? Okay, I can't think of that. That range of mountains in there. They put that in the background of that show. Okay, so there's some yellow. I'm gonna make one of these orange, one is pink, a little bit more yellow. Let's do like the violet toned one here. This is like really weird for me still. I mean, I only started, playing around with these like a couple days ago, but I feel like I've been experimenting with these for a week now. But doing these different colors in different designated zones like that, I haven't been doing that. Like ever, because I'm usually doing like forest or I don't know, beachside area. I'm not doing like like colored rows of stuff, in my scenes. So it's interesting. I'm finding that when I'm doing this, doing these experiments so far with this design right here, it's telling me just kind of how little I know really about it. I don't know, my notions of things. I try to keep an open mind still, but it's like doing certain color combinations. It in another context, it wouldn't work. But I'm finding other things working with this image in here. And then, I don't know, it kind of opens up other things in other areas because you have these, I don't know, geometric shape. I have no idea what's going on, but I don't know. I'm having to kind of tweak my thinking on it a little bit. And I don't know, it makes for fun exploration, though. But hello, Laura, how are you? Some paper made with coffee. I have some paper made with coffee that I need to use. That sounds good. I haven't seen that technique in a long time. That coffee kind of like stain type of paper. Or you're going sketching on Saturday. Cool. We're visiting the Hindu temple. I'm sure it'll be hotter than the hinges of hydrate. Lots of hydration. Okay, so adding some of this brown right in here. I'm going to add some of this brown into my rose too, a little bit. This is the part where I'm wondering, should I add that in there? I usually like to get my colors a little bit earthy, okay, but I'm starting to wonder to myself, do I add that in there? Because I still want to go darker with some other brighter tones. So on this paper, like I said, if I build up too much of these other tones, maybe, you know, it might be too much. I'm not sure. Some of my pencils don't work as well on this paper too. They're harder, and that's out of the same Prismacolor pack too. So some colors are a little bit different, and some brands might be generally harder, you know, across the board too. Hey, Chris, do you have, I don't know, Chris or anyone else, do you guys have like a bunch of different brands of colored pencils that you've tried? And if you do, which brand, you know, are the softest ones? That's what I want to know, just in general. I knew someone that used to use colored pencils all the time, like in the 90s, okay? And I think there were a lot less brands out there available. But she used colored pencil, but then she also used, this barn's looking okay. She used watercolor pencils, just like colored pencils, but she didn't, you know, she didn't use the water dissolvable aspect of it to, you know, paint around. She just liked it because she felt they were softer than some of her other, you know, colored pencils that she had at the time. All right, so I'm adding in a little bit more shadow work right in here with this. This is kind of a dark brown sepia right here. So again, just kind of learning how to use these, this image right here a little bit as I do it. So I'm kind of defining the rose slightly more, like that. It gets a little bit more separation in there. More join Stampscapes. Yeah. If anyone wants to join the Facebook Stampscapes group, please join in. We'd love to have you. When did you live in Cody, Laura? Were you guys doing your astral photography then too? Hello, Caroline. Hello, Vintage Scrap Girl. Are the new stamp sets shipping soon? They shipped, some shipped today. Just about all the rest of them mailed yesterday. Okay. Now, people just ordered like 2 sheets of unmounted. They went out with stamped mail, so no tracking on it. And over a certain rate, they were, most of them are ground select or something like that and trackable. Hello, Cecile. How are you? Yeah, so, yeah, they're going out there. They're on their way. Hopefully they get it to everyone nice and quickly. All right, let's see here. Okay, so I used the pink and the yellow in here. You can see it's like a really anemic application of it. Let's go into, I'm trying to think of what, I don't know which, one of these I should make lighter or darker, or if it even matters. Maybe it doesn't. Okay, so I'm going to come in. Let's make this row of flowers a little bit more on the orangish tinge. I just want to go for a little bit of variation. So a lot of variation here. Whatever, monochromatic here. I thought it was more in the spirit of the, the clouds up there and that girl with the umbrella. But here's the first one right here. And I use that red in there. I usually don't use anything like that red in my scenes. So that's why it was like a tiny, like, sliver of it there. But I don't know. So far, so so. If you just joined in, I was just mentioning that on this wood grain paper, I usually don't add. In the past, I haven't added a lot of different color tones to it, because you can't do too much in many ways. If you can't use too many dye-based inks on there, they just soak right in. And because it's a reasonably porous surface right here, but again, it's a really thin one, and then it's not so textured and toothy that you can add on a ton of colored pencils either. And I just like the look of the wood grain, so I usually don't go too heavy with color. But I don't know, this one right here, this flower field in here seems to, you know what I mean? It's just, it's perfect for a lot of different colors in there if you wanted to do it. And I just think it's a good idea to, I don't know, give it a try here and test it out. My conclusion on this paper before, though, was it looks a little bit better with it colored a little bit more minimally. But like I said, I'm kind of having to rethink that a little bit here with these flowers in here. Okay, so on this, this is a violet right now, and I'm trying to add this. Now I'm being a little bit more selective here, but it's still kind of scumbly, and I'm kind of just finding my way around like this in some of these darker areas here. I mean, I'm not gonna take like hours to do this, so I'm not gonna take too long, but I'm just generally coloring in with this darker violet in the darker areas within the stamp. So I'm kind of going where it's stamped out black, then I'm going a little bit around it to just kind of model that shadow area touch, okay? Which isn't an instruction. That's just kind of what I'm doing here, I don't know if that's what I should be doing, or if I just should be coloring in the whole thing. I don't know. But we'll find out, one way or another eventually. But I think that looks pretty decent. It's making those flowers look a little bit different. There's a little bit of a more modeling within here, and still there's a variety of lights and darks in there and texture. I went a little bit too far with that one that I just showed you, the purple one. I used like way too many paint pens in there, where I almost kind of eradicated the shape of the flowers. I thought it looked good though, but I was almost just using the stamp just for these rows in here, because you can see it's like paint pen city in here. It looks more like a field of, I don't know, like lavender or something like that. But, it's fine too, I guess, but I don't know. A little bit coloring nuts. Okay, this is some orange in here. I want to differentiate this one from this one a little bit. So kind of warming it up a little bit, darkening, I guess, too. Like that. And trying to decide if I want to go brighter or not, which is brighter is darker in this case, with more intensity. Let's go with a little, here's a yellow, orangish. Let's go with that one again a little bit more in here. And it's hard to tell kind of a little bit on where I want to go with, how far I want to go with the pencils here, because I still think I want to bring in some of those paint pens in here. Okay, let me get a little bit more gutsy with a little bit more of a, like a harder pinkish tinge right in there. I think that looks okay right over here and right in here. I'm definitely not kind of exercising kind of like a, you know, like an expressionist application of tone. It's a very passive one. You know. All right, so yeah, that looks pretty good in there. Okay, I haven't been taking like too many bright colors to the like this paper, like I said, you know. But I don't know, the flower field seems to be doing okay with it. Let's try this orange over here. That other one was a little bit red, so I'm just doing this transitioning kind of color scheme in here. Going from light to dark, but I kind of skipped and I went to this one, but I think it'll be a good idea to bring some of this in here. Let's see. It was snowing at my granddaughter's soccer game on Oh, wow. Is that pretty common, you know, this time of year? You know, to still be having, you know, some snow like that? That's what I always kind of wonder. Are people having like kind of different weather patterns than you know, what they've seen like over the years traditionally? I think this year for us we had kind of like an average winter. Like last year, it was like tons and tons of rain. You know, whatever. There was some lake and like, I don't know, like in the kind of up towards the Bay Area, Watsonville or something like that. That I don't know hadn't been around in like, I don't know, decades. That kind of reformed. All right, so a little bit more pink up here. Here's my general kind of thought here. Again, I don't know if it's going to be that way when I finish this piece, but I'm going with a little bit more intensity in the foreground, and as that moves that way, it's a little bit less intense. So it's a little bit more muted back in here and a little bit stronger up here. So just, you know, when you see more distant objects, they tend to look a little bit lighter because, you know, light's bouncing off them and they have, you know, it has a farther way to go to get back to your eye. So it's going through, you know, stuff and suspended in the air, you know, dust and moisture, that type of thing. All right, so going into these hills here, it must be spring because the hills are green. Out here in California, we're used to very, you know, brown hills usually. Like that. Oh, okay, it looks okay. It's kind of minimal. Here's a little bit more of an earthy green right here. Okay, now let's bring some of this green down into this grassy area. I don't want to make it too distinct, you know, but we'll get a little bit of this tinge of color down here. Because if I make this too dark, there's not going to be very much separation between, you know, that first grassy stamp like this that has open blades that you can color in, and this one right here. So, like I said, if this gets really dark, you're not going to be able to see this in front of it as much. But let's get a little bit of tone in there at least. Maybe I'll do this right here. I'll do the like little blades like this. Okay, something like that. I don't know if you can see if that there's a little bit of a greenish tinge in there. All right, let's test out the, I forgot this row right here. Let's see, let's go with yellow again. I went brighter with the pink in there. Let's go a little bit brighter with the yellow too, maybe. And let's do this. Let's use a little bit of green in here, like that. It's just another slightly different color. There's in the city that I grew up in, Lompoc, at some point in time, it was before I was born, but they did, there was this lookout area in the hills that you can drive to. I think I've been up there like once in my life, that looks over the valley. And at one time, I don't know when it was, in the 50s or something like that, some farmer did, like configured their field to, I think it was like the American flag. Makes me wonder what color they used, what color flower, or what type of flower they used for the blue, though. All right, so let's test this out. Acrylic paint pens, we'll use the 0.7 millimeter here and see what those look like. Let's see. I haven't heard that in a while. Did you die? I'm a little colorblind, like picking a piece in a box of chocolates. Oh, that's interesting, Candy. I wonder if I was talking to my son about that recently. I was talking about this art program that they had at the middle school where I was volunteering, and some of the coordinators, I don't know, when we were just talking about some of the assignments, I don't know, I brought it up one time. I said, well, have we ever considered, because, there's going to be a certain percentage of the students that are going to be colorblind, when we were talking about the assignments. And, so there's going to be a lot of them because there were like 1,500 kids in this middle school. And I don't know, they hadn't really thought about it, and it hadn't really ever come up with some of the things. But I thought, I don't know, if in case, someone ever asks, then it might be a good strategy, or good to have, some sort of strategy for them, to think about, when putting together their pieces, their color schemes. There used to be this guy that used Stampscapes, and there was an article on him in Rubber Stamp Madness, and he was colorblind too. So what he did was, and he worked in color, but what he did was, like for different types of greens, he would ask some of his friends, "This is working pretty good on here. I think that's looking pretty shimmery on those flowers in there, that row, the pink at least." He would ask them what type of green something was. Was it a sea foam green, or was it a grassy green or something like that? But it didn't seem to hurt him. All of his pieces looked really cool, but maybe, sometimes if you're not really that attuned to color, you focus in more on things like texture and value, light and dark, and things like that. I don't know, it becomes more heightened. I have no idea. But I would say that his pieces were, when I think about it in my head, those pieces were really quite textural. His stuff is up in the Stampscapes gallery. His name is Stephen James. All right, so this is yellow. Now that's standing out quite a bit. I don't know if you can see, but that pink there is starting to kind of, it doesn't stand out quite as much as it did like a minute ago. It might completely get darkened out, where you can't see it very much, as these pens tend to do, especially on surfaces that are more absorbent than others, okay? Okay, here's what I really like doing, I'm finding so far, is to create a little bit of a separation between one row and the next with this kind of lighting right here, this highlighting right there. I can add some more of it right down there too. All right, so let's put some of it right up in here as well. But yeah, this acrylic paint is really kind of absorbing into the surface. So, I mean, but even if it gets darker though, it should be a little bit lighter than what it was previously. Okay, and you can always add more on there if you need to. Okay, this yellow one seems to be doing pretty good. I'm using quite a bit of it on these rows, be it if it's yellow or orange, or in this case right here, green. Like that, but see that right there? It creates a little bit of a separation between the rows. So I'm treating it like it was the top side of something like a rock or something like that, where I put a little bit of highlighting over the top of it, usually. Let's go back to this pink here. I missed a couple areas right in here on these rows. So when I say I missed it, you know what I mean? If it looked fine to me without it, it's not like you have to go in there, but might as well give it a try here. All right, so anyway, this paper's taken this layering pretty good here. I don't think it wasn't the Wind River. What's the major kind of mountain range in Wyoming? It's the I can't think of it. Oh, no, it's not Longmire. It's this other show. I can't think. What is it on? We have so many different services. On a Prime Video or something like that. Oh, you found Stampscapes in Fort Collins. You've been stamping for a few years, then, huh, Holly? Yeah, there was that. There was more than one store in Fort Collins, and then Fort Collins actually had a convention. Now, I never did the convention, but I remember one of those shows went there. I can't even remember the name of the shows, but the only convention I ever did there was the Denver one, one of them. But I remember there was a Fort Collins. There was a big, was Uptown Rubber Stamps out of Fort Collins too? That was a pretty big company at the time, or back in the day. Yeah, a lot of stamping in Colorado. A lot of stores. One of the first stores was this one in this Cherry Creek area called the Happy Stamper. She was probably, I don't know, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing she might have been one of the first rubber stamp stores, kind of in that general area. But just a pretty big hub of, rubber stamping. I used to love going there too. I'd go to this bookstore. I think it was called the Tattered Cover or something like that. A really big bookstore. And I would hang out there at night, after I was done teaching classes. I think they were open really late. All right, so there's some of that, and the color or whatever with the highest amount of contrast is going to be white right here. Derwent is a fairly soft colored pencil. Thank you. I think I have some of those. Unless they're I might have the Derwent watercolor pencils, though. I'm not sure. I need to take a look at that again. Is this made with real... Oh, your paper is made with coffee beans. I thought you were talking about that coffee staining type of process, where it looks like a aged, you know, weathered piece of whatever. I think they usually do it on like a watercolor paper or something like that, right? I don't know. Chris, do you ever do that with the coffee staining? Let's see. John had a telescope, but didn't really start the astrophotography. Oh, okay. Huh. We were there from 2004 to 2016. Oh, okay. I probably taught there 2002 or 3-ish. That might be a little bit too light. Right there. That'll, you know, darken as well here, but see this white really stands out on there. I need to be a little bit careful about my placement of this because I don't want these things to like stand out like too much, okay? But the fact that they're kind of blending into the background will probably be good when it comes to this white one because it's a little bit too sparkly, especially over the top of everything that's already on there. It's standing out with a lot of contrast, but again, I think it's going to dry because all the other ones seem to be drying. They're drying a little bit more translucent, so you see the colors showing through, you know, that are underneath the applications here. So let's hope that's the case there. These other colors, it's like I want them to remain nice and light, but then they get dark. So I don't want to go in here with a super light one. And it's like, okay, it should get darker, but it doesn't, you know. Now, if that ever happens, all you do is you just go back over it, like in this pink area, too white, then just add some more pink right over the top of them and obscure them a little bit. Now, I don't expect this wood grain to get like super bright either, okay? I tend to think that this wood grain paper tends to look a little bit more kind of aged looking anyway, and that's what I'm trying to go for. You know, again, then this right here, well, this one right here didn't have any of the alcohol markers on there, but let's see here. Let me try this here too. I really like doing this earlier today. It worked pretty good, but I took this green pen and in that green grassy area on here, down here, instead of like coloring it in with the colored pencils and stuff, I went down here like this and I did some kind of light green little I don't know, grasses or layers right down here. And I really like that look with this stamp. Here, I'll show you right here. This stamp right here. So what you're doing is you're kind of, I do it upside down because it's easier for me to do this like check mark like that. So I'm coming into it and doing like this type of thing. So you touch down like this and you just do kind of like a little quick gestural kind of tick, you know, or check or something like that. Like that, and it's kind of obscured, but it looks fairly, you know, deep right in there in the foreground area in terms of layering. So I thought that worked pretty good with that design. All right, let me see. Let me add a little bit more of this in here. Didn't do any of this in the hills. But I think that looks pretty decent in terms of the coloring. I really like these paint pens on here with the color. But they are soaking in. I do get the texturing in here though. With the paint pen, but it's just the marks are a little bit more obscure. So if you're using some of those other brands, I don't know if like a Posca makes like a 0.7 millimeter. I know they have the kind of the thicker, what is it, 2 or 3 millimeter ones. But I don't know if those are a little bit more opaque than the Artistros here. But if they were, that would probably be a little bit better on this type of really absorbent paper. I had some other pens though, some other paint pens that were really, the pigment to binder ratio was higher, so that you got a more opaque mark. But the problem with those pens is that I had them sitting around for, I don't know, like a month or something like that, or two. And then when I took off the cap, or whatever, when I started drawing with it, that paint, it was too thick, so it dried on the top. So I can kind of scribble it off for a while and break through that outer acrylic hardened shell, acrylic paint. But that was kind of a hassle though. So these other types of pens like these ones, they're a little bit more watery, but they just don't clog on you, like some of the pens I've never used and I'm using them for the first time and they just flow really fine, or one that I haven't used for like a really long time and it just never clogs. So I think that's the balance, it's the trade-off there. I'm going to put little highlights down here in this kind of mulchy area too. Oh, this might look good in here. Some of these like lighter blades of grass maybe too, in addition to the green. Like that, maybe. A little bit more textural. Some highlights on the hills there. Think about like so. I'll throw some kind of like quote word stamp up here maybe, or a quote if I can have something that fits in here. Again, this is 5x5 right here. And we'll get it matted off on something. I like using the gold on this one. The mirrored gold for like a matte, but I put a little bit of or mounting. And I like putting a little bit of like white, or no, I go with the beige. I have like a cream colored border, and I'll put that around that like that, but I'll put it on the gold for a little bit of extra flair, or I don't know, or like a matte gold, something like that. But all right, so there's the use of the wood grain paper here, and like I said, I think that I took the colored pencil things reasonably well. So you can get a little bit more intense with the colors. I don't know if I have any of the other ones that I've done on that paper. I've given away a lot of pieces over this last month, but I usually just put like a really kind of just a hint of some color here and there, but I think with this flower field we can add quite a bit to it with no problem. I never do any kind of like fogging on this or misting on here, because that white pigment ink is just it's gonna stand out kind of weird, because there isn't any white inherently in this type of paper, so it looks a little bit strange. I don't know if I could do like a beige haze or something like that, but again, on this type of paper I think it's kind of nice just to go rather minimally. Although when I am thinking about like a little bit of a cloud behind that, I don't know, that might look pretty cool now I'm thinking about it, but maybe in like a cream colored pigment ink. I don't even know if that would stand out against that. It might just completely darken out, I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, the Faber-Castell Polychromos. They are good quality and softer. Okay, sold to Simon Else when they went into the big box. That's when I heard about the Prismacolors, when they sold the formula changed on those ones. My set's like 30 years old. Or is it older? It might be older than that. I think I bought it in like 86 or something. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so it's a little bit of a different coloring technique here, Holly. I don't do a lot of coloring on this type of paper. Usually when I stamp on here, I'm doing, I'm adding shadows and maybe a little bit of highlighting. So I'm using black and white ink on that. Now, okay, so I just thought of something. So sometimes I do add like a little bit of a sun or a moon in here, but it's when I just take like a, you know, a round stencil like this and I'll just do it like a white moon or something like that. It could also be a sun or something like that. And then if I did that, then I can add in some kind of white haze in the background or something like that because, you know, we would have some reflected light in there and kind of that would make more sense. I could do it on this one. I could have like a moon or something like that coming, you know, it'd be kind of interesting. And that's a little bit too centered, a little bit off center. Like right here, maybe? But if I do that, I don't have, you know, it's like either a moon or a sun or whatever, or something rising or setting, depending on how you look at it. It's either that or the word stamp. So I'm going to take a look and see what word stamps I have or quote stamps in there. And I also want to see what this looks like on top of the, you know, the gold framing on there. 6 days with no power. What? Someone mentioned who doesn't have power? Or is it you, Chris? Or wait, who said that? I'm scrolling up here. That's a long time without power. I was mentioning in a previous video, maybe when I don't know what Maine always comes up with me for some reason, but they, you know, they were talking about how one time when I was out there, they were like, oh yeah, you know, that some, you know, that blackout from whatever, and you know, and they named some month, and it's like, yeah, I don't know, yeah, we lost power for like a week. I'm like, what? I said, does that like happen once in a while? You know, common? I guess it wasn't uncommon for it to happen, like in the, you know, dead of winter. So it's like, you know, they're kind of used to it in some areas. That'd be pretty wild. The east and north gates to Yellowstone are closed. Oh, wow. What? Hmm. Where did that be? Yeah, I hope you get your power back soon. People have like generators or something like that. Uh, okay. Oh, the Tetons. Yeah, thank you, Laura. Yeah, they're digitally throwing the Tetons in the background. That's right. I didn't check out the Tetons. I really wanted to check those out, but I just didn't get around to it. I did when I did go up to Cheyenne. I believe that was the same trip that I checked out. You know, Rocky Mountain National Park, though. You know, I just drove through it like in a day and just checked out. I don't know, a couple of those, you know, main sites out there. Um, but that was one of the good things about traveling all over the place. I started taking a little bit of time out towards the kind of the last few years that I was traveling. I would check out the local areas a little bit. I would schedule like a day off here and there. So I checked out the Adirondacks, Rocky Mountain National Park when I was down in Colorado Springs on a separate trip than that one, you know, where I went to Fort Collins and Cheyenne. You know, so I just checked out the local stuff out there. This is pre-internet too, so I don't know what I was looking up or how I was looking it up. Or was it pre-internet? I'm not sure when I went there, but early internet. But yeah, I checked out like, you know, what is it, Garden of the Gods and Wind Caves and what's that 14,000 peak out there? Pikes Peak, you know? So I just started driving up Pikes Peak and I didn't even know you can go to the top. You know, so I just like going and going and going and going, you know, in that rental car. When I was coming down, man, those brakes were like screaming. And then they have like a brake check area. It's like taking forever. But yeah, checking out all these different areas, I loved it. Let's see. You have such a hard time growing lavender. I I have some Spanish lavender growing. I think my favorite was the French lavender, though. There's so many different types of lavender. Glad you like it, Megan. Military mom, glad you like the card. It's a little bit different. Let's do a little comparison. Okay, so this is the wood grain paper, of course. This one right here is semi-gloss, okay? Here, I really like this card, but using the wood grain paper is, you know, like another border mounting. This right here was stamping the flower field on. This is photo stamping right here. Let me get my head out of the way. Photo stamping. So if those that don't know, it's just stamping on a photo print, in this case of clouds, okay? One of the fastest ways to do a card for sure. Well, not when you add like a gazillion dots down there, a paint pen, but it could have gone faster, okay? And then this one right here is a combination where we're doing the photo stamping up top, on the top flap, like that. And this area down here, I mean, it could have been the, you know, the semi-gloss, but I just went glossy down here as well, just to match the glossiness of the top portion like that. So, but, you know, like these three right here, there's, you know, pretty much equal intensity of tone like that. Alcohol inks on all three of these, in addition to the you know, the paint pens on there. Okay, so I'm finding that to be a really good combination to get these flowers really kind of shimmery like that. So I don't know. I mean, this isn't like the opposite of it, but you know, it's a little bit of a different feel. It's definitely more anemic looking, but there's a, you know, it has its own kind of charm to it with that wood grain paper up top. Or of course, you can always like combine things too. You know, you can do like a flower field down here like this. I don't know if it'll match. I wouldn't do it in glossy, but I'd probably do it in the semi-gloss. And it might be kind of interesting to do like the wood grain paper up top here like that. Like, you know, these brown tones right here would harmonize reasonably well, you know, with that wood grain like that. So you can have like a wood grain top like that. It would have more of like a crafted feel, and then you could stamp this imagery right on the wood grain paper, and you'd have this kind of, you know, woodsy, crafty looking, you know, type of sky up top, you know, in that wood grain paper, you know, like that. But, you know, with some different types of objects or something like that. I'd probably do a little things to kind of play around with it, to tweak it, you know, to get this to match up there a little bit even stronger. But this to me looks like little textures in the sky or clouds in many ways. So that might be kind of interesting. Or we can do, I don't know, you can do like, this could be on a reflection card too. So, you know, this would carry out this way, but this would be like that. Maybe that even looks even better, huh? Like that as a reflection card. Maybe I could do it. I could have just done a half-page piece of paper, and you know, it might be easier to do it in two separate pieces, but you could do it. Someone told me, now, are you doing these things as like separate pieces and then taping them in there, or are you taping, you know, taking one whole piece and just kind of putting a fold into it like that? But I thought, well, I never thought about just doing like one piece, but if you do it on paper that's thin enough, you know, you can probably do that. This scene right here looks almost even better as like a reflection card like this. I'm not creasing it in the right spot, but yeah, it looks pretty cool like that. But anyways, other future pieces to experiment with. Let's see. Hello, Patty. Experimenting around a little bit with the wood grain paper. Does everyone know what this wood grain paper is? You know, I mentioned it earlier, but it's it's a disposable 11 by 17 placemats, you know, which is kind of interesting. So I went on to like Amazon looking for wood grained cardstock, which there is out there. You know, you buy a 10 pack or 20 pack or something like that. It's whatever. But this is like a 50 pack of 11 by 17. And, you know, we end up kind of matting this stuff anyway. So I don't care if it's like really super thin. You know, thicker cardstock, it feels better to work on, you know, when you're working on it. But, you know, I don't know. I'm over that these days. You know what I mean? You get like so many of these out of, you know, that one pack of paper. And then, you know, I don't know, you can take the wood grain paper to your picnic as well. It's truly an original. Hello. Well, you can always rewind, you know, if you ever want to see any of this stuff. Fast forward, you know, otherwise I'll put you to sleep and then the rewatch of this one. But yeah, colored pencils and paint pen, alcohol inks and paint pen on these ones right here. So I don't know, I'm just having a ball with this flower field here because it's just so different for me too, you know, in the use of all these different colors. I shouldn't display these all together right here because this one now looks really anemic next to all of them. But anyway, you can do a little comparison contrast type of thing. No, Patty, I'll come on tomorrow night as well. I'm doing like a ton of experiments here. I posted another video earlier too, with the reflection card like this. Talking about like a super quick and fast and easy card right here. So blue foil up top, silver foil down below, reflection card. Look at that, like that. I should have stamped this horse over a little bit more because I thought, okay, that's going to go right there, but it would have been better to have its like head more in the reflection like that than like that. I don't know. That's pretty good though when you show it early on. It's like these things are easy to do too. You know what I mean? Sometimes I post stuff like this and someone said, "Oh, that would take me forever." And it's like this is one stamp, just stamped like, you know, about 5 times and stays on ink. This was stamped and stays on ink. And in the moon, I just cut it out. So I don't know. It doesn't take, unless everyone's doing like 5-minute cards, you know. This one took like 20 minutes. And I just added on those little highlights on here too. But yeah. So I got a lot of experiments to go here. Who has it? Patty. So I don't know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. There's a lot of other things that I want to do. I want to do these horses and like a corral running around. I can put these in like a wooded situation. And I might be getting tired of the flower fields, but these types of houses here too can be used. Well, there it is. This one is right here in these flower fields, but I don't know. There's a lot of different moods from these flower fields. The killer application though is the horizon card like this with that flower field, I think, and then really dynamic with the you know, the clouds up here. And when you were doing like photo stamping up here, you hardly have to do anything up there. You just make that part up there is like so minimal, you know, with the impressions like that. So for those that don't know, those are all, you know, there's, I don't know, about 30 or 40 cloud prints if you want to download them for free and print them out on your home inkjet printer. They're on my Flickr account in the Clouds for Photo Stamping folder, and there's a button to download like the entire thing if you don't want to like just go and pick individual ones, but there's this downward facing button in the lower right hand corner, and you can print out or you can download these files. I would recommend downloading. It asks you what resolution you want to download it in, and I would just always go with the original, so you get the you know, the highest quality print out of that. These would look interesting too. Like even if you just printed this out, like, hey, I don't have a color printer or something like that. If you did this like in monochromatic, you know, grayscale, I think that would look pretty interesting too. Even if your scene was like an all in color, you can have like a monochromatic sky, like in grayscale, black and white, to contrast against those colors. It might be kind of an interesting design statement for that. Let's see. Colorado's beautiful. Yeah, I really enjoyed. I always enjoyed going to Colorado. I just like even Denver. Driving around. I like how that it's easy to get around the city too with that whatever that freeway around the entire city, and then you can just get off on any exit. And it's like a grid work to get everywhere. It was the easiest navigational thing for me nav software and phones and everything like that. But I always got around in there so easily, and I don't know. Yeah, it's been a while though. Like for example, I think the first time I was out there was when they just got the Rockies, like the baseball team out there. Let's see, Horsey Girl, polychromos are oil-based prism. Oh wait, are oil-based prismas are oil-based, and the prismas are wax-based. I didn't know that. That's interesting. So the polychromos, can you use those on any type of surface then? Like, are they really, are those oil-based ones like really like soft? I know Chris said they're soft, but are they softer than the Prismacolors? I'm wondering if they're oil-based. Huh. And as far as usage goes, is it basically the same, or do you wouldn't have to wait for it to dry, right? Or would you? I know you have to do that with like oil pastels a little bit. Huh. It was Chris. Chris went 6 days without power? Really? Wow. For many days. Houston. Okay. Huh. Well, that's going to show us a horse stamp or something. The streets are just lined with wood and brush from all the huge trees. Oh, wow. Hello, Jeannie. Pikes Peak, Garden of the Gods, and Cave of the Winds. Yeah, all in Colorado Springs. So I think I checked those out like on the same day, just driving around. I don't think I had it planned either. I think I just looked in there was probably like a city guide when I got there. It might have been the day that I rolled in too. So if I got in there like on a Thursday or something like that, noonish or something, I usually go over to the store and I might set up my workshop area if they had that area open to me. And then for the rest of the day, it would take me about an hour. And then if I had the rest of the day, I would, do something. I'm pretty sure that's the way it went. I probably had like a day of arrival off there, and that's when I did all those. Let's see. I need to have a bidding war for that large windmill card. You mean the holographic? I mean, not the holographic. The Horizon card. Starting to forget the terminology here. I've been experimenting so much. Pull the new images over the camera and talk about your vision for the new. I have a video for that one already, Chris, where I explained all of these. But kind of Netherlands-y-ish. But of course, you can make, this flower field wherever you want it to be. Like I grew up in California, Lompoc, and it looks like the flower fields out there. There's like flower fields in Washington. Someone said they're going to take this. Who was it? Was it Laura? I don't know. Forget who. Or no. My client in the Netherlands said she was biking around on her. She's taking a week off, and she was biking around. She says she's going to make this into a potato field. And I said, someone in an earlier live said that too, so it's kind of interesting. And I said I'm going to make this into a pumpkin patch too, and just do this greens or browns in here, and I'm going to put some pumpkins in it for a Halloween card. And someone mentioned, yeah, you got to put like a scarecrow in there, something like that. So okay, so anyways, and these other ones down here, I mean, horses and little figures like this. Again, these are a little bit more European-ish, or Netherlands types of construction here, classic construction on some houses or cottages. So a little bit of different feel to it. And I just didn't have a room on this plate right here. I didn't want to put that farmer in two different sizes, but put the one size down here. But this girl has the flowers in her hand, so I want to do like a flower field with certain colors. And then she could be in here holding those flowers. Or if I'm doing like something like this, it would be interesting to have this on the interior, and you can do a certain color scheme. Now, if this was not, I don't know if I'd put it right here, but I would put like that girl on the outside here, but she's got the flowers, so it's like a little, it's a visual lead-in for the interior here with the flowers like that. So yeah, we had those little subject matters like that, and that's kind of a canal boat. So a little bit of a different take on, than something like a kayak or canoe that I usually have in my scenes. Bicyclist, bicycle rider, instead of like hikers or something like that. And, the farmer and dog, kind of speak for itself. You can have just the dog or just the farmer in there. You don't have to color them together like that. Yeah, I don't know, these different horses. Now, these are reduced sizes here, too, from the originals. That's because those are my printouts that I have to put inside there, but, test prints like that. And that little bush right there goes to the side of these, or the sides of these houses right here. So you have to always do the accompanying foliage like that. But there's not a whole lot to say about it, But the big star of these two new sets here is definitely the flower field, in my opinion. But I think there's a lot of useful other types of images in here, like this one right here. I can just use. This is the look of this foreground right here. I know it's kind of insignificant right in here, like that that foreground like that. But typically, I've been just doing these reeds in the past, okay? Which I did here because this, I wasn't intending to put this grass in here, but that little kind of layering right in here. Now, I've done it in the past with some of my other stamps, tall grass and tall grass small and stuff like that. But just that little thing like this, and the way that I designed it this time, where you can really bring it way over if you want to. It's not in two different parts, like, foreground grass left and right. It's just like this, so I can stamp it like way into the scene, and I don't have to build something else on the end. It just has this little bit of extra slope like that. And then you can, have it smaller, or you can layer it. So so in other words, I'm getting more color and texture in my foreground like that. And those texturing foregrounds like that, I mean, you can put that foreground like on, 80% of the scenes that you do, you know what I mean? So it's like a super useful stamp, for something like that. So, I'm trying to think of some other things in here, as far as the concepts go, but, I don't know, the windmills speak for themselves too. So people are getting these, they have those, mirror stamps too, or they stamp on a like a gel plate. Everyone knows? I don't know. Someone can explain what those things are, but they're like printing plates. There's little jelly things, and you can paint on them, and you can get like a print out of it. But people are stamping like something like this onto the plate. And then when they stamp it again, they're getting like this mirrored impression. So if you want to put this thing like water side, it wouldn't be practical to have a stamp that's like this big, okay? Or you could, but I wouldn't be able to fit like 5 other images on there. But you can do this. Like a lot of those watermills are like this in the Netherlands, okay? So you can get this mirrored impression of it like that. But we have these watermills right here. And if you want to, it doesn't have to be waterside. You can just stamp it like this, and it can be just on land. I think didn't I do that with one of the, okay, I was thinking about doing it. I just used that other one with that house right there. But, you can have these watermills going out in the distance. And I always like these types of structures in scenes that are fairly dark, because I can use them in day or night. So if this was a nighttime scene, this is solid enough to where it can stand up against, a textured or darker background. But I have enough lighting in it like that, where it looks just fine in the daytime as well. So that was the concept of that one. But I really like this kind of this silhouette of this structure like that against like different types of backgrounds that could even have high contrast too, because there's no, these blades in here are just solid black and blacker, empty. There's no variation here. So I can stamp this against like a, deep sunset photo stamping, or you can create your own photo stamping. Deanna Tubsadillo does those backgrounds of different types of skies usually, and I think this would be a perfect stamp to use against it. You can do any kind of structures, but I see this like the lighthouse that I have. That's one of my favorite stamps to use, the light rocks and waves. It's really dramatic and everything like that, but these windmills right here have a more interesting silhouette because of the blades like that, so I think that should look kind of interesting too. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, the more that I use this, farm, these rows like that, the more I'm made aware that it's a little bit more, or a lot more malleable than I would have thought, in terms of how we use it. So, do you use the wood grain paper more with the pattern to the sides? Yeah, you talk about like vertical or horizontal. So on this one right here, when you use the wood grain like this, to me, that looks more like the patterns of like a sky or water, okay, when I do it like a water scene. So I like to have it this way. But when you go like this, though, there's a little bit more drama to it. I wouldn't say it looks like, Northern Lights or anything like that, but it does have that kind of that, pillory type of look. So I've used it both ways, but I mostly use it probably this way than this way for most things. But, like I said, there's a little bit more drama to this. You have these kind of like things like reaching up. They look like flames like this to me. And I think it makes for an interesting looking sky like that too. So it's interesting with this wood grain paper though too. I don't have like a whole sheet here, but when you look at it too, like if it's all the same and you have like a bunch of pieces cut out, you can I end up going, okay, I'm going to use it for a sky. Okay, this one looks more like clouds to me than maybe this one. So I'll grab this one right here, or this one right here. It looks like the patterns in like a water or something like that. So I might use this one for, if I'm going to stamp a lake scene. Now, I'm not like searching through and deciding like, between like 8 pieces or something like that, but I just take a look at it quickly. Like it'd be kind of interesting here to put like a lakeside body of, something up here, down here, and this is like a pond or a lake, and you can stamp like a rock right here. So it looks like the pattern of the water is working around something, or if it was like, a little bit more centered, you can put like this smaller kind of, like horse right in there. And that would be kind of interesting because it would look like you're integrating that patterning, with that horse a little bit. So yeah, so if you stamp like something like that in there, wouldn't that be kind of a creative use of that, knot, I guess, whatever that is on that wood right there. So yeah, you just have to decide, there is variation to it for sure. So yeah, but that's the beauty of it too. Like I said, there's it's a 50 pack of 11 by 17. So I can toss, if I have scraps of this too, you get so many out of one piece. So I today I decided I wanted to use, 5.5 by 5.5. So I was just slicing off the edges right there and no big deal. Not that I want to waste anything, but, if I'm doing something like, a very valuable piece of like holographic Mary lava like this, that's like $1 a sheet or something like that, you know what I mean? I'm kind of using every bit of that paper, that I can there. So But yeah, with the wood grain, it's no big deal. Just use use some really good compatible ink with it. Okay. I was mentioning earlier, I find that a little bit of a thicker ink is better. You know, I think a VersaFine Clear is probably going to work pretty good on it. Maybe just anything but like a thin dye-based ink. Stays on is okay. Brilliance, water-based pigment ink. Yeah, something like that. On here, I use the hybrid ink, which is a little combination of the dye and black oil-based pigment ink, I believe. Let's see. Could you then use color the grayscale? You could, Laura. Yeah. Of course, if you're doing something like that, you just want to be careful if you're using wet media on that, whether it's a inkjet printer or like a laser printer, you might be dragging around that ink a little bit. So maybe use the dry media on it, like pastels or colored pencils on there. I've only been to Salt Lake City once, I think. Yeah, with that naming, the street naming convention, right? What was it? And the numbers, and then was it the alphabet or something like that? Yeah, that was well thought out. Okay, no drying time with the polychrome is okay. Oil-based colored pencils contain wax too. Okay. Polychrome, they act like most pencils, except if you're doing blending, then you need something like odorless mineral spirits. Okay. I don't see wax bloom with the polychromos like Prismas do. What's wax bloom? Is that where it's like, is it like peeling or something like that, or when you're adding something to it, or the other blender fluid like zest it? Got it. No, wait a minute. Let me go back up to that comment there. Blending. So you absolutely need to. You're just saying if you want it like a really smooth blend, though, right? But if you want like a textured type of application, that they're just fine for that. You're saying if you want to get that kind of rougher texturing between the two different, different colors, then you need to blend it in. Then, huh? I think I have some mineral spirits around. My son got some of that recently. It's like, man, I haven't had mineral spirits since I was in college and with oil painting classes. Or more opaque. Oh, really? That's interesting too to me, because I don't find the Prismas very opaque. But I haven't used like a bunch of other types of pencils, to compare them to. So you're saying they're more opaque than the other ones are the oil-based ones then? Okay. There's old Prismas and new. Okay. Old ones and new ones. The one thing that I'd want, though, in the Prismas, though, are they... Now, if they had the characteristic of being soft, are they just harder now, or are they the same, general soft, Do they have a softness to it? Like, I really love my black. I didn't use that black one in here. Not to extend this chat. Well, anyway, of course, everyone can leave whenever they want, but know that we are taking a roll at the end of this live stream. But yeah, I didn't use the black, but I find that the black, I don't know, my old black here, it seems to be softer than a lot of my other colors. So I'm able to, no matter how built up I get with the other colors, I'm able to apply the black over it with no problem, thankfully. Yeah, something like that. Okay. I don't know if that changed it too much, but I'm just kind of bumping up the contrast a little bit here. I don't know if it needed it or not. I really want to do that haunted farm for, you know, the Christmas cards sometime. I think that should be fun. I love it when Halloween starts rolling around. We can kind of bust out and do some kind of crazy, crazy scenes. All right, so Gamasol. Okay, yeah, I don't have any. I've heard about the Gamasol before. Like you're doing a total picture with just polychromos, and you want to blend, say, a flower. Okay, got it. I got to look at those up. I'm going to take a look at those colors when I get off here. I want to take a look and see what those look like. Are they the same? Are they the same kind of, you know, format as a typical pencil in terms of width and, you know, the stick or, you know, the whatever, the lead inside? Good night, everyone. Military mom. Okay. Yeah. I am going to cut out now myself. Thank you for all the information. It's always great to kind of stamp here with other crafters and get some good information. But anyway, I feel like I've been using this stamp here for a while here, but these are just the first 4 scenes that I've done with them. But I'm kind of, they're taking me on a journey every time I do something, because I'm learning a little bit of something every time, you know, about how much to use and I don't know, whatever, certain types of pens and how certain things look on it. So yeah, so you can do a lavender field or a tulip field as well. All right, we'll see. Hope to see you guys in the live stream Friday night, Stampscapes Friday Night Live. Hope you all dream in Technicolor dreams. Wasn't that the term Technicolor? I can't remember. All right, folks. Good night.